Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are, all over the world. This is the amazing thing about us being able to connect beyond time and space, joining in one place, like the place that I sit in, which is virtual. I'm Dr. Janet Piedilato, and I'm the author of the Mystical Dream Tarot. And I'm here today to just speak about the cards, about a 2-card reading. And for that, I'm going to share my screen so that each of us can look at the cards. Each one of these cards rose from images that came in my dreams. I've been a dreamer since birth, and I'll continue to be a dreamer until I dream my way over into the afterlife. And so upon each one of these cards are images, and those images speak to us because they are the language of the transcendent. And so the question I ask for us today is, what do these mystical dream tarot cards have to tell us in a 2-card reading? Most of us don't have hours to sit here and make a gigantic spread of 16 or 20 cards, investigating them deeply. But we do have time to look at just 2 cards and see, is it possible that 2 cards might tell us something about ourselves and our lives? We're experiencing strange times now. With the COVID, most of us have been thrust into places and experiences that we've never had before. Where are we in this experience? What lies ahead of us? And so I drew 2 cards this morning. One card is called the Dream Carrier, the other the Lady of Wands. But for each and every one of us, these are images, and these images have something very unique and special that speak to us. Let's look at the cards. No words that are written in the book, and there is a book that one can read. But the images move through time as we move through time and space. As some of us right now are in morning, others in afternoon, and others ready for evening, so do these images approach us at different times of our life. And thus they invite us to move into them and see their messages. For the Dream Carrier, we see a woman with a crown. She obviously appears to be royalty, and she sits on a throne. But that throne is not in a palace. It's in nature. Behind her is a forest, a thicket of trees, tall, foreboding. Before her is a child, moving away from her. Her eyes seem to be focused on something of the future we cannot see because it lies outside of the imagery on the card. In her lap, she's holding a pomegranate. One hand seems to be on her belly, which, like a pomegranate, seems pregnant with seed. There is a book, a rather large one, perhaps the Book of Life. Her throne sits in a space in between. It's solid enough ground, and yet the water flows beneath her. The water of time, does it not always flow? While she may appear to be in one place, the water that flows beneath her will always be flowing onward. And perhaps that's what she's looking at, because the water in the beginning, in the early part of the card, in the foreground, that water is moving like rapids, bringing something forward. On the second card, we have a meditator, peacefully seated, and yes, there's a forest behind her. Just like the first card, a forest as though, is it something you and I and each one of us is coming out of now? Is this COVID a period when we were in the forest, in the thicket, and yet the months that have passed have perhaps given us a clearing. In the very center, in her solar plexus, in the meditator, we see light, shining light. She's at peace. Her eyes are closed to the chaos of the waking world. Her eyes are closed to the forest that's behind her. She too is focused somewhere, perhaps on a future that lies beyond the iconography or imagery of the cards. And so I invite each and every one of you to look at the cards. What do they remind you of? What do they bring forward in each and every life that you and I and all on the planet are experiencing? If we look at the dream carrier, we see that she is pregnant. We also see that pomegranate which represents that which is the fruit of Hades, of the underworld. The seed must be nurtured in the darkness that it might sprout and grow. Has what this period been to us? A period of darkness, so that our seeds may swell and burst and grow? This period, which perhaps was horrific and bringing sorrows, perhaps the waters of those sorrows flow past us, but not before they help to swell the seeds of hope, of the future. We see that child walking away from her. Is this the life that she birthed in the past, that she grew to love and have comfort in? But now it's past, like each and every one of us. Do we not realize we cannot go back? We can only go forward. And so our Empress, seated upon our throne, our dream carrier, is allowing that child of yesterday to walk away from her. Because in fact, time is removing that child. It's time to birth something new. She's wise and she's letting the child go, for it's yesterday that cannot be reclaimed. She is not going to leap from that throne and try to go backward. But what she is doing is looking at the future that lies beyond her seeing. But she's grounded in the waters of the unconscious. She's part of everything around her, and she is wise. Hopefully this is us. We are wise. That forest is behind. The horror, the shock, the tragedies that were in that forest, thrust upon us without any warning. She's no longer there. Are we, she? Are we now in our throne in a new place? There is no surety in the road ahead, as there was none behind us. But there is hope. If we remain with our vision, with our hand on that pomegranate, the seeds that were swollen in the period of darkness, we can move ahead. The pomegranate is ripe. They are red seeds, and those red seeds are seeds of alchemical fruition. Yes, the red, the rubero that becomes the gold that becomes the light of enlightenment, waiting for you, for me, for each one of us. Wherever we are in our lives, we are at that point where the light is waiting for us to cast that light upon the road ahead so that we may move forward, leaving the forest behind us. Our Empress, our dream carrier, knows this, and she trusts her intuition. The future is upon us, and she is ready to taste the fruit of the pomegranate that is presently sitting before her. She holds the roundness of the pregnancy within her, and she knows that that golden light is there. Here she is at a crossroads. Are we not all at crossroads in our lives? The next card, the second, is the Lady of Wands, and notice the forest is behind her as well. And all of the tears and the sorrow have given way to the beautiful flowers that grow. The violet, the purple, that's part of the rubero, that's part of the gold, the alchemical gold, that within her is that light of enlightenment. Her eyes are no longer on the world. That child that once was her, that once was the enjoyment of the life that each and every one of us felt comfort in. It's gone. We're not looking at that anymore. That's sorrow upon us. We cannot turn the clock back, but we can go within. We can allow the seeds of the pomegranate to swell us. We can seek that purple light, the golden light of enlightenment. The forest experience is behind. The eyes are not on the world. The ears are not on the cacophony, the noise, the chaos, the many voices, the empty barrels that make the noise, that fills the streams of the airways. No. No. The direction is within. And this is what our meditator shows us. The light, the path, the way is the way within. She's left that world of chaos. She has partaken of the pomegranate that the dream carrier once held. She's transformed now. The chaos shall pass. She knows that. And it will give way to knowing, which shines brightly. The noise of the external world, the fears, the panic, no longer invades. It's quiet. The truth shall give way to hope. Two cards, the dream carrier and the Lady of Wands. The chaos in the trees that lie behind. The chaos of the months that have passed. The waters flow. Everything flows and nothing abides. Time flows by us. All experience is transient, and the noise of the world will become quiet. But the truth, the hope, and the joy awaits each and every one of us if we go within. Shut out the noise, shut out the panic. There is not truth in that it's all transient and passing. We go within to find the truth.